Hello everyone, welcome back to Geoguessr Explained. It is Oscar here, and today we are back on the play-along series. Sorry for the long delay between episodes, but we're back at it, and I'll try and keep it daily for at least the next month or so. So, yeah, let's get straight into things here. It's Diverse World. Play the links in the description for this episode and next episode, so you can see yourself featured in that next episode, and stop back here tomorrow. Okay. Also, let us get into this first round. So, let us see what we got going on here. Single yellow line in the center is definitely interesting. Green sign here for what towns are coming up. That's interesting. We have some language here, which is obviously helpful. I'm actually thinking that this one will be somewhere in Argentina, right? But I guess it can still be Brazil easily. Maybe it's even more likely to be Brazil. But actually, look at this. Here we have conclusive proof that it's Argentina. We have this double pole. You don't really see ever double poles like that in Brazil. And then with that context, these kind of wooden poles make sense for Argentina as well. Yeah, so this also looks like Spanish, doesn't it? Yeah, and this is also like Argentinian light as well, where it's kind of like bent at this angle. I don't know, they're often just like standing alone, so that often helps for Argentina as well. This almost kind of looks Uruguayan, but because it's Generation 4, basically can't be there. And yeah, that's about it for the round. So yeah, almost reminds me a bit of Brazil, bit of Uruguay as well. So I'm thinking of kind of clicking in this kind of region here. That kind of makes the most sense to me. Can it be elsewhere? Yes. But yeah, with these lights and yeah, double yellows. If it was in Uruguay, even though it's not Generation 4, but imagine it's Generation 3. If it was Uruguay, we'd have some like white dashes between, like proper sized white dashes between the double yellows. And also we would not see this pole either. So yeah, that's about all we need to say here. I hope it's a good region guess. It is indeed right near Brazil and Uruguay. It's right there, and someone 5K'd. Excellent. Okay, so let's move on to the next round there. This looks like Australia. Reason being, we have white road lines, we have big rumble strips. Rumble strips, as I've said before on the series, is more like a Western countries thing, Australia, New Zealand, US, maybe Canada as well. That's mostly where you see rumble strips commonly. We have some mallee eucalyptus trees. So when they're a bit kind of wider like this, they have like a wider span, and often they're lower to the ground like these ones as well. You tend to find that in Western Australia, like through here. You find it in South Australia, and they stretch all the way to like Mildura in Victoria. So that's about as far as you see those types of tree. And now I'm looking to see. I think it looks like South Australia to me. It looks like my home. But I'm trying to like put my finger on why and where. We have a bit of a red road here. Red roads in Australia are most common in Queensland and Western Australia, but they can be seen in SA as well. You can see it's kind of like got a pinkish tinge to it. This really looks like a South Australian street sign where it's just like plain black on white. That's really like that kind of generic is really common in South Australia. A bit of red soil here. Yeah, really reminds me of like certain areas and not others. We've got a signpost here. It doesn't appear to be yellow, although we couldn't count out that it's still maybe yellow. And yeah, that one doesn't look yellow either. So yeah, thinking that South Australia is good here. I was thinking like near Port Pirie area, even on the Eyre Peninsula here may even be more likely. I think I might just hedge Eyre Peninsula here, but Port Pirie area is the second option. It's like a bit of winter coverage, so we really can't trust these green hills. Like, normally this would have been desert in summer coverage, but yeah, winter coverage can really spell anything. And we can definitely tell it's winter just because of the green grass. Like, you don't really see green grass like that in the summer in Australia. It normally, like, kind of withers away in the sun's heat. Also, some rocks here are interesting as well, but yeah, I'm just going to go there. And it was actually near Tumby Bay there, which definitely makes sense. You know what? Just clicking in the middle is fine. But yeah, Tumby Bay Hills, interesting. Never really, I was never really good at guessing Eyre Peninsula, but at least we got decently close there. Okay, next one here. We are in Japan. We've got the black Google car low to the ground. We've got yellow plates on the small vehicles, and we've got a plate here, which I think that's just the national plate, so that doesn't really help us too much here. Looking at, like, pole tops as well. Don't really see anything that actually gives away the region here, unfortunately. So we're going to have to go based on landscape more so here. This kind of hill in the background almost feels a bit northern. I kind of like Shikoku as well, just for some reason. Couldn't really tell you why. A bit of wooden, like a wooden architecture is often associated with Tokyo, but this didn't feel massively Tokyo to me, to be honest. Yeah, it's a difficult round, actually. So Japan, like, it's difficult at the best of times, but especially when you don't have any of those specific hints that we've all been learning recently, then life gets a bit difficult. But okay, yeah, I think, yeah, we only have one plate there. We have a horizontal plate there. Okay, that makes me want to try more so up here. That was my first initial thought, that it was a bit more northern looking, so I'm going to go there. And it was right there, nice. So yeah, kind of had like a bit of a southern vibe, but then we saw a horizontally marked plate. And let's just go back into the round here so I can hop over to it so you can see it properly. But yeah, a horizontally set up plate, when you only see one of them, that's often like North Honshu kind of area. So there you go, that's the horizontal plate. Yeah, so there we go. That is a pretty good result, I would say. So we should be going fairly decently in the grand scheme of things here. This one's an easy Sri Lanka. We're driving left-hand side of the road. We can tell that because of the pedestrian crossing set up like this. We got black and white strap poles. So black and white strap poles, guys, quickly. We got Peru. We have Sri Lanka, we have Malaysia, and sometimes in like Philippines, I think they do it, maybe occasionally. One of the countries, I don't know. There are other countries where you might see it sometimes, maybe like Bangladesh or something. But yeah, this one's going to be Sri Lanka because we got low camera. You can see we're like barely, like the camera's barely in line. Like if we just have like a neutral panning, and we're barely in line with the top of the tuk-tuk there. So yeah, yeah, yellow outside lines is not all too uncommon in Sri Lanka. And then these zigzag, these kind of snake lines are also really common over there as well. When it's this green and this hilly, gotta go somewhere near Kandy, which is here. So I'm just gonna go south of Kandy here. Let's see where it actually is. And it was just a bit further east there. We're still top 3 here, so not too bad. And the final round here is looking to be somewhere in, I would have thought Bulgaria, but let's take a look around. We've got Generation 4. We have a blue car. You never see the blue car in Russia. That's a great tip that I've never given on this series. Blue car does not exist in Russia, nor does it exist in Ukraine. So yeah, when we can find some Cyrillic here, if we can. We don't, actually. What is that about? Okay, can be actually elsewhere then. Maybe this is... Language feels almost a bit like Romanian or something like that. It feels a bit like, what do you say, like Romance influenced here. So I think that's where we got to go, even though it really looked like Bulgaria to me. I think that basically seals that deal. Can we see anything else that's actually useful here? Red plate there is interesting. How many Dutches do we see? That's a Dutcher, I believe. That's not. Okay, only one Dutcher in view here is a bit concerning. But I'm really kind of surprised that it wasn't Bulgaria. It really kind of looks like, still when I look around, it still looks like Bulgaria, but I've accepted that it must just be with this language here somewhere in Romania. So if it's Romania, then I guess I would click south because I thought it was Bulgaria. Anything else to say? Not too much, I think. Like Bucharest, it could just be Bucharest, to be honest. Although it is a bit hilly for Bucharest, probably. Yeah, so I'll just go in this town over here. I don't know. We shall see if I'm right or wrong. I could be wrong still. Okay, it's all the way over there. That's why, because it's like kind of on the border with Ukraine and Moldova. Definitely had kind of that Soviet era kind of feel. We get 23,000 with not the best Romania guess at the end there. We drop down into 5th. So let's scroll down here and see some people and how they did. So give the video a like if you are enjoying the video so far, guys. Much appreciated if you do. And we're just going to go down a few times here. And it was a fairly difficult seed, so I doubt we'll see some... We not have the highest scores here. So we're going to go for Dibnik here and Salty Juice. Let's see what's going on for either of these players. So on the odds round, they both go New South Wales. Not a terrible guess. There is a few things I could say there. Mostly, though, it's about learning the landscape. That kind of reddish soil with the green hills wouldn't really make sense for this area. You wouldn't find so much red soil down there. Obviously, you could find it inside the interior of New South Wales, but then it wouldn't be so hilly. So, yeah, that kind of just made more sense for South Australia and Western Australia there. And then not to mention that kind of generic street sign, very common in South Australia, so good to know. Both guys getting good guesses inside of Sri Lanka. They both go Kandy, which ends up being closer than me, and it was what I said, so yeah, it makes sense. We had one guy knowing about the plates or getting a good hedge. The other guy goes in Kyushu. So Kyushu obviously feeling a bit more tropical there, but yeah, I was talking about Shikoku, so it's not really that bad of a guess, I think. Just learning the plates. You just have to learn the plates in Japan, as sad as it is. Then the Romania, we had one Italy guess, which is interesting. So yeah, could definitely see how the language could be confused for Italian there. However, the architecture and everything really doesn't fit. We had like walls around all the houses. We had kind of definitely more like a rundown look. And we also had painted white at the bottom of all the poles, which is a Romanian thing as well. So yeah, it just makes more sense to be there. As for the Argentina, kind of getting that like kind of reddish dirt Brazil vibe there is important because you don't really get too much red dirt down here. And then also like in Misiones province here, you get a lot of like red dirt, whereas this kind of like reddish brown would be more so like a Rio Grande do Sul kind of neighboring kind of thing there. So that makes definite sense. And yeah, that's it for that seed. So let's head through to the next one here, which is a community world. And see how we do, because a community world can be quite a challenging map. This one almost feels like Sri Lanka again. This kind of Indian-style bus would definitely make sense. That's the Sri Lankan coat of arms as well. We can also tell Sri Lanka because we got like a square concrete pole here, very similar to the Thai style of pole. But as you can see, the dots continue to here, and then they don't go all the way down to the bottom, which is, yeah, definitely something you would associate with Thailand, with Sri Lanka, and not Thailand. The Thai poles have dots all the way down to the bottom. This kilometer marker is probably Sri Lankan. The mountains, yeah, it all feels kind of like candy again. And then also one of the main things, I think this is tea crops here. It kind of looks like it anyway, and tea crops are very, very common in Sri Lanka. So we can just go central southern here again, and it was 34 kilometers away. Very nice indeed. That's the candy vibes. Okay, next one here, we do indeed have some Brazil action going on. We know that because it is like this red soil on the side of the road, and we have a Brazil pole here. It's concrete. It's got like kind of the 3 knobs at the top, and yeah, that's just going to be somewhere in Brazil. This signpost is kind of interesting for Brazil, but yeah, it also fits. And yeah, we see more Brazil poles in the distance. So the question is where? We've got like grasslands with like some mountains in the background. I definitely like associate that kind of landscape, and especially with these like small trees, like these ones here, almost feels a bit like Australian or something like that. These kind of small trees you see like in Amapa and Roraima. And then also maybe sometimes in these like, kind of states over here, but less so. And this one is almost certainly Roraima, just like grassland landscape, very much Roraima. This house, yeah, definitely kind of feels like it. But the main thing I'm using to absolutely corroborate that theory is that we have like some smudges on the camera here. See how it gets slightly darker here, 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 and here. I've heard that that's like I think it's like this road or something like that. So let's see if we can line up the angle here. It looks like the angle's wrong. But maybe we can find one that kind of lines up. Maybe it's a different road. I don't really see which one it would be, unfortunately. But I thought it was something out east, actually. Maybe it's actually out north. That could work better. I'm not so sure. But okay, I'll just go like, I don't know. We don't really see any angle that really fits here. So that's kind of an issue for my guess. But I guess we'll go like, yeah, there's no angle that fits. So I guess I'll just kind of stick with my east thought and see if it's correct or not. And it was, yeah. It's just south of Boa Vista instead. Okay, so yeah, we got Roraima there. Fairly standard Roraima stuff with the grasslands. A bit drier. Like, Roraima definitely does get green sometimes, so keep that in mind. But yeah. Okay, next one is Switzerland for many reasons. Let's run through it. So first off, we got the Swiss bollard, which is kind of standard European bollard, but round and kind of thick. Kind of looks like a French bollard, but you painted the European style on it. Black and white chevron you can see in Italy, in Switzerland, in San Marino probably, in Albania, Greece, sometimes in Spain. Yeah. Well, yeah. So that's about it for the black and white bollard, I think. Definitely a bollard worth knowing, or chevron worth knowing. But yeah, low cam here as well. You can definitely see the blur is ultra wide, like it's taking up a lane and a half, and you also feel low to the ground, like a normal blur would only take up like 1 lane. So yeah, this guardrail is interesting, black and white. Never seen that before, but yeah, it's kind of good to note. We got some kind of interesting Alps-looking houses here, green rolling hills, like beautiful Alps stuff. You know, I don't really have a good region guess here for Switzerland, so I'll probably click middle. It kind of feels like, I don't really know. Architecturally speaking, it kind of feels a bit more French to me, but maybe I'll click a little more over towards the French side, but don't really want to hedge it too much. Let's see. And it was a bad idea. I really suck at Switzerland, so it's really no issue. Okay, next round here, and we're going to be somewhere in Australia. Not to mention that we're going to be somewhere in Western Australia. So let's run through some of the clues for getting that we're in Western Australia here. To me, it's completely obvious, but to you guys, that's definitely not going to be so easy. So blue number plates, they have like blue at the bottom, right? In Western Australia, no, blue at the top, sorry, in Western Australia. Anyway, it really shows up as quite blue, and you see that in WA. You also get blue number plates in ACT, Victoria, and Tasmania, but they're none of them is quite as blue as the Western Australian one. Then we have a pole here, which is very thick. It's green, and it's also like painted green at the bottom, and that's a Western Australia thing. We also have a white sticker here with the yellow thing on top of it. That's a Western Australian exclusive. And then also down this direction, what can we see? Do we see anything else? Okay, like back this direction, we have a sign with like a trident pole top, which is this one you can see in Victoria and Western Australia, but yeah, like when you have like this thick green pole, then yeah, definitely makes sense for WA. Okay, all that monologue out of the way, now I've got to think about where I actually want to go with this, because this is not completely obvious to me. I'm sure like if we wanted to scan for whatever like some of the signs are here, we could find it, but Yeah, that sounds not so easy. So, I think I'll go just somewhere, I don't know, somewhere out a little further north or something like that. We'll see. And it is, yeah, it's in this town here. Makes sense. 4.7k there. Moving forward to the next round. Okay, we are looking at some action of South America here, I would say. And we have a yellow number plate here and a white number plate here. Yellow number plate is the standard, and then white number plate for trucks in Colombia, so that makes sense. Around this direction, we have another yellow number plate. We have some chevrons. Now, you can see this if you have keen eyes, but we basically do have a bolt here, and a bolt here. Presumably one here as well, although I can't see it. But that would be the Colombian cross being bolted to the signpost here. So that definitely makes sense. The cross that you find on the back of Colombian signs. Also, the fact that the post is painted white is very Colombian as well. Green rolling hills, quite small for Colombian standards, I would say, but definitely fitting. And white Google car as well here for Generation 4. That's quite a lot of that in Colombia. Is that about it? I think that is about it, guys. So I say let's get into guessing here. And so I want... Oh, we also have some thatched roofs. That almost feels a bit further north. So I think I will go for that here. But let's just kind of click near there. And it was actually further north there. So a pretty good guess. Definitely was a difficult round for region guessing. We get 23.448 again. So actually both back-to-back 23Ks there, which is pretty good for a play-along. And we're first. There we go. Actually managed to come out with a dub there. A lot of people guessing south there. Did anyone go north? I think we're the only person to actually get it there. So that's pretty impressive, I would say. Debray came through. Beating Debray, that's no small feat. We can be proud of ourselves for that. But let's scroll down here and check out some people who did a little bit worse, so we can give a few little tips here before the video ends out. And let us see. So I think this is a kind of an easier seed. So I'm going to click it all the way down to the bottom here and get some of the lower people here. So yeah, we got some like 10Ks here. This is perfect. So Matas and Palo are going to be our people for today. First things first, they missed out on the Sri Lanka. So the Sri Lanka, they were driving left, so they guessed left-hand drive countries. That's good. Did we have white center lines? Because both of these countries that they guessed tend to use yellow center lines. Definitely Thailand. Okay, we don't have any center lines at all. Now I'm thinking, okay, tea plantation, yes. Sri Lankan coat of arms, yes, but the big thing here is the pole with the dots that don't go down to the bottom. Okay, so that's what we're going to say there. The WA round was definitely hard, but yeah, just keep in mind those clues I told you. Darwin's not a terrible guess, but yeah, it would not be so dry there. It's quite lush. And then the kind of Utah guess, not so good, I can say that. Definitely just keep in mind that we're driving left, so look for signs that'll set up for left-hand drive, and yeah, you should be okay. Okay, the Brazil they both got, but they went too far south. Honestly, not the worst guesses, but just remember this grassland with kind of distant hills definitely makes sense for Roraima. The Colombia, we had a Brazil guess, so obviously... wait, where was the second guess? Yeah, Brazil. So with the yellow plates, you go Colombia. And then the north vibes was just because the mountains weren't so big. Because normally down here you would see bigger mountains. So that was kind of my logic there. I should have gone even further north, to be honest. They both hedged center and got closer than me in Switzerland. So that is about it that I have to say for this episode. Guys, thank you very much for watching all the way to the end. Much appreciated. I'll see you guys in a video very soon. Till next time. Goodbye.